Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, July 15th, 2018. Kyle, the gravedigger, may have been busted by the cops, but his mission was not a complete bust. Somehow, while he was down in Philip Chancellor II's grave, Kyle managed to reach into the coffin and pull out a slimy, old, yellow bone fragment and smuggle it home all the way through his arrest. I would like to know, or maybe I don't want to know, exactly how he managed to smuggle through that bone fragment all the way through the arrest, the search, the fingerprinting, the entire booking process, sitting in a cell. I've seen enough live PD at least to know that the first thing they do is empty out your pockets. Yet as soon as Kyle is bailed out of jail and gets home, he reaches into his pocket to reveal inside of some sort of napkin the nasty, disgusting, gross remains of a character that many Y&R fans loved very much. Ew. I would like to toss out a question to you guys just to start us off. How well do you think the character of Kyle is balancing on the tightrope between villainous and viable? Do you think that this character is too villainous to be likable, or are you still, or maybe learning to, or never was, are you in the camp of thinking that he is a little bit lovable? Do you love to hate him in a way? I'd love to get some opinions on the status of how you're feeling about Kyle this week, because it's hard kinda to like someone who would do something so disrespectful and gruesome, but yet I think there is something still about the character that is a little bit charming. I mean, we all know it's not reality. In reality, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near this type of person, but somehow I personally think that the character is walking the tightrope surprisingly well. Another little bit of a litmus test, I suppose, was probably how you viewed Kyle's apology, I suppose we'll call it, to Esther, because it was an Emmy-worthy performance, I think. He was standing there looking at poor Esther in the face. This woman was scared half to death to wake up in the middle of the night and realize there's someone outside digging up a grave. She was terrified, and she comes over to the Abbott mansion looking for some answers, and what Kyle gave her was clearly lip service. He was trying to be his charming, smarmy, slimy self in order to get out of it. He was playing on her sympathies and the fact that Esther is a kind-hearted person in order to try to gain her forgiveness and in order to try to get himself out of this trouble. I mean, grave digging probably comes with some pretty hefty charges that now he needs to wriggle his way out of, and on top of it, he's kind of also hoping that his dad will just get him out of this jam. You know, Jack's usually real good at talking his way out of trouble, so maybe Dad will help smooth this over for me. Everything will be okay. I'm wondering how the Y&R chatters are feeling about Kyle this week. It's kind of a want to love him, want to like him, but also in a way don't want to make too many excuses for him. Well, at least Jack did seem a little bit remorseful over what Kyle had done. The other element here is that Kyle seems only to be interested in what this DNA test result might be able to acquire him when it comes to their family lineage. Is he going to be able to secure a piece, maybe, of Chancellor Industries, of the Chancellor estate as a result of all of this? Kyle has made his intentions clear in that conversation with Jack, that he wants to know if there's any way they would be able to put together a case. I mean, Kyle's the one that mentions it. Can we use this bone fragment and the DNA test that I want to run in order to make a case to claim some rights over Chancellor Industries? And Jack immediately was not jumping on board. He's a little bit disgusted at the idea that his son would have so little regard, even in a drunken state, no matter what, that it would even occur to him to jump down into a grave and start digging and then to open the coffin. I mean, Jack was not pleased with his son at all. He also realizes that even if he wanted to, this evidence would have been obtained in an illegal way, and it would in no way be able to help them in a court case. So Jack tells Kyle, all right, I don't approve of what you've done, but I will go along with a DNA test, not because I am planning any type of coup of Chancellor Industries or the estate, but because I want to seize this opportunity to get some answers. This is the closest that Jack has been to actually getting some answers about his parentage, his father, and he wants at least to be able to say that he can confirm it or rule it out. I don't know if I entirely believe that Jack's intentions are pure, but I think that Y&R and the story needs the audience to believe that Jack's intentions are pure in order to get us behind what's gonna come in the future. I think Kyle is being used as a catalyst for the plot. Kyle is a plot tool pushing Jack forward into wanting more, so that we don't all start hating Jack by the end of this. You know, I think that we also, as the audience, need to be able to see Jack as pure because of the conversation that he ended up having with Jill. Jill shows up at the door and she is fuming. It is astonishing to me that she started out the week so furious with Kyle and with Jack, and then by the end of the week she was having tea and tears with Jack, and they were bonding over this situation. Jack was also almost able to smooth over the waters too. He really knew all of the right things to say to Jill. This is a woman who Jack has had a very long history with. He's been, I think they were married for a brief time, right? Or at the very least they had an affair. They've been involved. She was married to his father. There's a lot of rich history here. Jack knows exactly who Jill is and knows how to push her buttons. So when she comes through the door ready for war, I have to admit I was a little bit rooting for war. There was a part of me that was like, yeah, go get him, Jill. I just want to see them rip Kyle into shreds. And she almost did too. She said to Kyle, your little excuse that you made when it came to Esther, yeah, that's not gonna work on me. You're not gonna fool me. And oh, by the way, Jack, your greasy apology is not gonna work on me either. So it was starting off really well. Like, Jill was remaining firm. She wanted to let these guys know that they weren't going to get away with whatever it was that they're planning. And she began to have a conversation with Jack talking about her pain. And to me, that felt so palatable. We know Jill. We know her character. We know how much she cares about Philip. And Jack even said, what are you talking about, Jill? You're married to Colin. We know you're in love with him. And she says to Jack, Philip was my first true love. You need to know how much this means to me and how much it hurts. It's hard enough to bury someone that you love, but then to think of their body being disturbed so callously. Jill said, and I think this really captured the essence of what she was feeling in that moment, I felt like my heartache was unearthed. The one card that Jack had to play to try to make Jill understand not what his son did, his son was drunk, he made a bad decision, but where he's coming from with the lawsuit and his perspective on wanting to find out the truth about his life. The one card Jack could play was the fact that Jill also had a paternity twist, and as a matter of fact, she had a maternity twist, but specifically, Jack was referring to Jill's paternity twist that left her wondering who she was. I mean, twice. Can we acknowledge here that Jill had a question at 2 different points in her history of not only who her father was, but also who her mother was. So I suppose if anybody's gonna kind of get the gist of where Jack's coming from, it would be Jill. And he presented his argument to her. It did generate some empathy for Jack. She wants to understand him. I think Jill's probably searching for some kind of meaning or some kind of way that she can take this horrible thing that's happened and make sense of it or make it work in her mind. So she does agree that she can at least, I'm sure, not press charges and that we can not go to battle over this. She agrees to go out for drinks with Jack to the club, and this is where I think it gets a little interesting because they bump into Nikki. And Nikki and Jill exchange a few quips. Was nice to see. But most importantly, Jack shares with Nikki for the first time what all of this hub is about. He tells Nikki about Dina's claims that Philip Chancellor is his father and the fact that she identified him positively. And Nikki says, oh, huh. Isn't that interesting? Nikki picks up on immediately the fact that this could lead to Jack having some rights over Chancellor Industries. In fact, Nikki flat out says, I was Catherine's best friend. I knew Catherine very well. And if Catherine would have known, doesn't this almost sound like testimony, like future testimony? If Catherine would have known that there was any chance that Jack would have been Philip's son, she would have wanted Jack to have that company. She loved Jack. She respected Jack. This is what Catherine would have wanted. I think we're seeing little previews of what's to come. And of course, it's just speculation on Nikki's part. Jill blows it off. I don't think Jill has any idea the storm that's coming her way. And also, Jill didn't have any idea that Kyle is one step ahead of her. Kyle went ahead, ran that DNA test, and as a matter of fact, back at the house, just as Jack and Jill are getting back from their drink and Kyle's there, the doorbell rings and those DNA test results were delivered right in front of her by a very chatty courier. I mean, this guy is letting Kyle know that he needs extra ID. I mean, these DNA tests are highly confidential, yet he's gonna stand there right in the doorway in front of 2 other people talking about the fact that Kyle's receiving DNA test results. Oh my goodness. Jill's face switched over pretty quick, right? I mean, they were being friendly up until that moment. Jill's face was like, excuse me? Oh, I mean, to open the coffin, to get down in the grave and get caught before anything happened is one thing, but now she not only knows that he opened the coffin, but that he has a motive, that he's working towards something, and that something is proving. It's not just enough to leave speculation. They want hard proof. And Now Jill knows that they're very close to getting it. I mean, simply for the purposes of the plot. I cannot imagine that Kyle's going to rip open that envelope, open up the paternity test results, and they're going to say, nope, sorry, not a match. I think the tests are at least going to be inconclusive and probably conclusive, confirming a match that between Jack and Philip. This is the future storyline. This is going to lead us into the fall. There is going to be a war. The soldiers are already arming themselves on both sides of this debate. The battle lines have been clearly drawn, and we're going to see both Chancellor Industries and probably the house, the mansion, become the battleground between Jill and Jack. I can't also help but notice that Jill was being real sympathetic toward Jack and the fact that he didn't have a place to live. He was trying to hide the fact that he had moved out of the Abbott mansion from her. And then he had no choice but to reveal that he actually wasn't living there. He had handed over the keys. So now makes it a little more, it puts a few more things into light. Jack's not living at the Abbott mansion. He's gonna need a place to live. I just am waiting for those results to lead to Jack getting his own set of keys to Catherine's house. I'm gonna try to look on the bright side here, because you know me, eternal optimist. I do a little bit like the idea of Jack and Jill sharing the house, maybe while this paternity test Chancellor Industries battle plays out in court. I think maybe in honor of Catherine, Catherine's house deserves to be filled with drama and petty bickering. Outside of Sharon's cottage, both Sharon and Nikki saw the ghost of JT standing outside the window, and then almost as quickly as he came, he just disappeared back into the mist. No one can find him. No one bothers to call the police. No one bothers to call Victoria. Nikki was immediately beside herself, imagining that JT's on the property, he's up at the main house, and he's murdered Victor and is now this very moment disposing of Victor's body. Nobody even bothered to tell Victoria until the next day. Why is the concern all about Victor and not Victoria? Poor Victoria. If anybody has been through it, it's her. If anybody deserves our sympathy, it's her. And of course, by the end of the week, everything starts bubbling up yet again. Victor gets a series of text messages from JT, from an anonymous phone number claiming that it's JT, and Victor arranges a meeting agreeing to come face to face with this mystery JT. He goes to Victoria to let her know that he's getting ready essentially to go into battle. I mean, it's odd to me that he would go first to Victoria to tell her about these plans. The whole vibe of that interaction was, just in case one of us doesn't come out alive, I want you to know, ... I would have thought maybe Victor would have that conversation with Nikki instead of Victoria. I mean, Nikki's the one that's been so worried about Victor's fragility lately. Victoria tries to convince Victor not to go, not to meet with JT, not to kill JT. Victoria says, I know you, Dad. You're gonna go find JT and you're going to kill him. And then what? You're going to be found out. It's going to be revealed that you murdered Reed's father. Don't do it. But of course, Victor thinks he's superhuman. He knows better than anyone that he's in a weakened condition, and yet he goes alone to meet with JT. We saw also a gloved hand. I don't know who the gloved hand belonged to, but a gloved hand pulled a gun out of a safe. I assume it was Victor, but then when Victor does go to the meeting, he's not wearing gloves. At the very end of Friday's episode, we just see Victor creeping down a dark smoky yellow hallway, back alleyway. He turns a corner, and from out of the misty yellow shadows steps JT. We finally see a clear view of his face. He's got his hoodie flipped up, and he's just got this blank expression on his face while Victor is declaring that, I don't know, they're going to put an end to this all for once and for all. It's going to be over. I don't know what to think anymore. All I want for Monday's episode is for this specter of JT to just open his mouth. Open your mouth and say something. It's been weeks of this haunting and never has he said a single word. I need for JT to give me a clue or a reason or something to sink my teeth into. It's been nothing but pure speculation for weeks now. My head is dizzy with scenarios. I have no idea what's going to happen. Is somebody going to get shot? Or is somebody going to get arrested? I don't know. I need to just stop theorizing about this, but part of me just, I feel like Paul or maybe Nick or someone is going to jump out from behind a garbage can and say, gotcha. I don't know what's going to happen. Victor already lost once this week. Is he actually gonna lose twice? Yay! Nick got custody of Christian back. We got the results of the the custody test. The custody hearing results came in, and the judge has ruled that Nick can have permanent custody of Christian again. I mean, I'm glad for Nick. It was a wonderful moment seeing him walk through the door with Christian's face and then bringing him to Sharon and Mariah and all of them sitting there happy as the wonderful little family that they are. But I'm also glad more than anything that this didn't continue to drag out. It never made sense to me that Christian was put into Victor's care in the first place. I guess that the social worker could clearly see that Victor and Nikki were both hiding medical conditions, but of course this does nothing to assuage the judge's original fears about Sharon. The judge's original concern was about Sharon. Remember that? The entire original premise of taking Christian away from Nick was that the judge was concerned that Sharon and her mental health was a danger to the child. I guess that's just gone now. I guess that Sharon chatting up the social worker during the meeting about the college courses that they were taking in common must have made all of that go away. I think that Sharon needs to make sure to follow up with that social worker and issue her like a gift card or something. Like, that social worker needs to know that she can have free coffee at Crimson Lights on the house forever. Could you believe that Hilary pretty much guilt forced Dr. Nate into giving her a middle of the night shirtless house call exam? Hilary had been pacing around the apartment. She'd been having some cramps, all very much normal parts, probably of pregnancy. She did a little, I don't know why she didn't just call her OBGYN, but instead she went online and got some online doctor's opinion, and that didn't make her feel any better about it. So in the middle of the night, she goes over to the condo next door and banging on the door and guilts Dr. Nate into giving her a private exam. Shirtless, by the way. He didn't bother to get dressed, put on a shirt. Oh no, he had his stethoscope just wrapped around his shirtless torso. No, chest, whatever. It was such a soapy moment there. Him shirtless with his stethoscope hanging around his neck. I loved it, of course. I'm feeling Dr. Nate, of course. Last week I asked you if you're feeling it. That was our poll from last week. 78% of you, the overwhelming majority, are feeling this return of Dr. Nate Hastings. I think that he, and his whole vibe and his whole attitude, are a breath of fresh air. An absolute breath of fresh air. And a fresh take, by the way, on Hilary. I love that he is telling Hilary what she needs to hear about herself. As soon as he's finished with the exam, finished with his due diligence as a doctor, he tells her, you have your own doctor. I think you came over here because what you really need and want and crave is attention. Bingo! I mean, talk about right on the nose. That's exactly it. Hilary felt guilty about the way she treated him at the Winters family get-together, where she made her bold proclamations about what a jerk he is and the secrets he's keeping, and it turned out that the secrets he was keeping were just pain, nothing but. And she tries during the exam to get him to open up about it, and he just says, no, I don't need this from you. I don't need to be your friend. All Hilary is trying to do is damage control right now. Hilary is the kind of person who acts first and then thinks later. And now she's just trying to make herself look better. And I think that she used the pregnancy, not that there weren't any problems, but I think she used her pregnancy and the fact that he's a doctor as an excuse to get in the door to talk to him about all of this. While Divine is out of town, by the way, and she also didn't dress. She also did not dress for this doctor's appointment. She went over there in her cute little lavender nightie, nightgown and robe. It was a gown. It wasn't exactly a nightie. That implies sexy. Because I don't think that Hilary is any way deliberately trying to cheat on Divine with Nate. I don't think we're there by any means. I think Hilary loves Divine, but I think Hilary also loves attention and doesn't like the fact that she's seeing a little bit of the true reflection of herself in Nate. That's what I love about him. The fact that he's kind of given her a reality check about her behavior. He is one of the only people who's not falling over himself to forgive Hilary and to make excuses for Hilary. He's just showing her the mirror. And I think she doesn't like what she is seeing, and so therefore she's just going into damage control mode. They've had so many interactions, even just in the course of 1 week, where she just cannot seem to get a leg up on him. I don't know. I think that he is a really welcome addition to the cast overall, and in the relationship, or in the perception, I suppose, of Hilary. Kane invites Nate to a little dinner with him and Lily, and I can't help but note that Kane tried to hook Nate up. He tried to offer inviting maybe a single lady to the dinner, maybe help Nate get to know some new people. Nate turned Kane down politely, says he doesn't really want to meet any new ladies right now, but I'm telling you, sexy, heartbroken men do not stay single in this town forever. The only question is who is going to be the one to snag him. I bet you that Lily is going to make an attempt to hook Nate up with her bestie, Abby. That's just my prediction. But it doesn't even matter who Lily or Kane try to hook him up with. Inevitably, it's going to drive Hilary crazy. She's going to find one reason or another to not like it. He just has this great way of getting up under her skin. She was doing a public, it was in public broadcast of her show, The Hilary Hour, and she was talking about some dietary things, and things that you can do to improve your health. And after every single tip that she was giving to her audience, Dr. Nate just happened to be off in the corner shouting on screen like it was the Rocky Horror Picture Show, like shouting out lines contradicting whatever it was that Hilary was saying. She didn't appreciate that at all, but I certainly did. I just love seeing someone challenge her. I'm a Hilary fan, and I love seeing someone challenge her. She did get him back, though. It was funny. After Nate had another one of his awesomely firm doctor-patient meetings with Victor, like, I also love how real Nate is being with Victor. That takes some cojones. And he has them. He has another firm meeting with Victor. He sees Victor out the hall. I don't know why Victor is super secret meeting with Dr. Nate about his health. When all of this public stuff is going on with Victor, he does not need the media finding out about it. And the biggest gossip in town, who has a TV show, is living right across the hall. I would think they might want to find anywhere else to meet. Anywhere. But Nate is shuffling Victor off down the elevator shaft secretly, and Hilary comes out of her apartment just as Nate has accidentally locked himself out of his own apartment. He tries to get back in, the door locked behind him, and he's just standing there. He doesn't have any keys, he doesn't have a cell phone, and Hilary is enjoying every moment of it. She's just looking at him like, oh, well, you seem to be locked out of your apartment. Good luck with that. Here's where I think we're headed, chatters. On Friday's show, at Hamilton Winners, Lily and Hilary are having yet another argument. This time, they're arguing about who has more say in what decisions Devon and Neil make when it comes to the family business. Lily is asserting herself as Neil's daughter, who has grandchildren that would fall in line, and essentially saying she should have more say over the company. But Hilary is over here saying that she has Devon's baby on the way, and she has her child, future child to, or not future child, but her child's future to look out for. And Lily made a comment to Hilary about how, yes, you might be carrying Devon's child, but you're not even his wife, so back off. That makes me think that one of these weeks in the near future, it is going to occur to Devon to propose to Hilary so that they can get married, be married before the baby gets here. I am imagining that we are going to have a very, very romantic proposal from Devon in Hilary's future. It's really breaking my heart. I think it's too bad, because I don't think that, if that's the case, I don't think that Hilary and Devon will ever make it down the aisle, because Hilary is so totally going to cheat on Devon with the sexy, shirtless doctor cousin who lives next door. Ashley reminds me of a few particular female bosses that I had back in the day. Smile to your face and then stab you in the back as you walk away. Ashley is so passive-aggressive. The way she is applauding Billy's initiatives as the new CEO while plotting to get rid of that Blood Abbott clause so that she can take over the company behind his back. She's devious. Ashley is something else. She's a real special, particular kind of person. And there was something about the interaction between Ashley and Summer this week that felt very real world to me. Like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I think there's almost like there's just a particular way that women can interact with one another, and just really I don't know, it's like just this catty way that women establish power over one another, that I think it's, I'm not saying that men don't have it, but it's just the essence of the way women do it is very identifiable to me. Ashley didn't really like the fact that Summer is an underling at Chabot, and she's just hanging out there in Billy's office in her little short skirt. And Ashley she just finds this very nice, I'm just gonna be very nice to your face, way of asking Summer to leave so that the upper echelon could have their conversation. Like, in the nicest, most passive-aggressive way, letting you know that you're lesser than. I think maybe that's what I'm trying to say. So the fact that she did that, I thought, I feel like I've been there. I was having a little flashback to my corporate days there. And then the fact that then, with a big old smile on her face, Ashley finds Summer in the hallway after that meeting, and she's smiling, and she said, oh, well, can I ask you, what is it exactly that you do here? I don't think I understand what your job description is. You know what, why don't you go ahead and write up a summary of your job description and have that on my desk by the end of the day? That just, I don't know. I mean, Summer needs someone to keep her in line, of course, but just Ashley's giving me a little something particular. Like, Eileen Davidson must be channeling something there, because it's ringing true to me. I do think that Ashley 100% needs someone to help her lighten things up a bit, and I think we're getting that now. Ashley and Neil have a meeting this week. They're having coffee, they're rubbing elbows, and Ashley encourages Neil to jump ship from Newman the way she just did, and maybe even benefit from some of the bad press that is happening to Newman Enterprises, and maybe snag one of Newman Enterprises' vendors who's considering dropping them. Neil thinks this is a really good idea. This is a really good way to improve his business. So he ends up striking a deal with one of Victor's data storage companies, and he just wants to slide right into Victor's place. So it's out with Victor and in with Hamilton Winters. I was a little surprised that Neil would choose a vendor over a client. So, I mean, Victor's bringing him money. And this vendor might save him some money on some data storage, but I mean, Neil had to know that he was making a choice, right? Neil had to know that Victor was going to fire him, and he did. It makes sense to me. Maybe I just don't understand the technical aspects of what happened there, but who really cares what company stores your data? Like, why does that make a difference? People will go, oh, Hamilton Winters stores their data with, who cares? I would care more about the fact that Newman Enterprises is bringing a whole lot of business to Hamilton Winters with all the trouble that the Newmans are always getting themselves into. The Newmans need a full-time PR company. I would think that they might like having that source of income with the giant, insane clown circus that the Newman family is. I'm sure someone else is going to slide happily right onto that money train and take Victor's money for all the messy PR stuff they always are getting into. I don't know, maybe Neil just did all of this because he wanted to take Ashley's advice. Maybe Neil just wanted to look like a big man in front of Ashley. Well, first it was coffee and brainstorming. Then it was dinner and wine and dancing. Ashley and Neil kind of came on out of nowhere, right? I didn't see it coming whatsoever. One minute they were casual friends, and the next minute they were engaging in a very luscious lip lock in Neil's apartment. I mean, I'm not saying I minded it. I didn't mind it. Both Neil and Ashley, frankly, really seemed like relaxed and ready to cut loose, like they both needed it. And And Neil made a comment even about how comfortable he and Ashley are together, and says that maybe it's because they've been here before. I think I vaguely remember Neil and Ashley having a relationship. I think they dated, but they ended it, and they never married, and it never came off as serious to me. I think they ultimately just decided, well, the timing isn't right, and we're just gonna part as friends. I mean, there's probably no pairing of veteran characters on the show that hasn't been at least tried. So it's a little bit surprising, I guess, that they're trying it again right now as Eileen Davidson is leaving the show. I suppose at the time that this is airing, the brass at Y&R wouldn't have known that she was choosing to not renew the contract, or that the contract wouldn't be renewed. But I don't know. I feel that if Eileen Davidson weren't leaving the show, I would be very excited about this pairing, right? I mean, I definitely got the chemistry. Do you guys think that Neil and Ashley have chemistry? I'm afraid to let myself get too involved in it though now, since I know that it's not gonna last. I hope that Neil still has Lois on speed dial, because I have a bad feeling he might be getting his heart broken here. It's just kind of hard to get into a couple that's starting up right as I know that it's not gonna last. Hint, hint, Hilary and Devon. This week, Billy set sail on his mission to win back Jabot. He asks Summer to keep Phyllis busy while he attends another game, trying to at least cover his tracks for the bad mistake he's already made. Summer agrees to be Billy's cohort. She agrees to take Phyllis out to dinner to distract her while Billy is going to this high-stakes poker game. I felt awful, by the way, for Phyllis during that scene. Summer and Phyllis are sitting at the athletic club having dinner, and Phyllis thinks that she and her daughter are bonding. She thinks they are there legitimately to improve their relationship and to have a little bit of girl time fun. All the while, it's just a ruse. It's all part of the same high stakes game that has nothing to do with poker. It's high stakes, but it's got nothing to do with poker. This is Billy's life. And of course, the entire time that they're out to dinner, Phyllis is noticing that Billy has gone silent for the night. Normally, these two are in love. They can hardly keep their hands off of each other. She notices that Billy is not texting with her. He's just gone silent. He says that he's at work on a conference call, and although Summer is able to keep Phyllis entertained for a period of time, as soon as Summer goes to bed, Phyllis, feeling like something isn't right, goes to the office to check on Billy, make sure he's okay, make sure he doesn't need anything. That's her man. And she walks right in to Billy's office, finds it dark and empty, just at the same moment that she receives, finally, a text message from him saying he's at the office. Well, she knows he's not in the office. She's looking right at his empty chair. Phyllis thinks Billy's cheating on her. Of course. That would be the natural assumption. She's been insecure about herself and her sexuality and her excitingness. And Summer made it that way. So Phyllis opens up to Hilary, telling her that something's going on with Billy, and Hilary gives her the card, the business card of a private eye, a private investigator. Tells her, just call this guy, have him followed, find out for yourself. I don't think Phyllis wants to do that. I don't think Phyllis wants to be this insecure person that, by the way, she was with Danny and that she was with Nick. Here she is again, finding herself feeling insecure about her relationship with Billy. She wants to trust him, but she keeps catching him in lies. And like with her relationship with Nick specifically, I mean, she was right. Nick was always finding a way to go back to Sharon. So here she is, reliving some of her past in a situation where she feels like She has to hire this PI to get some answers for herself. And you know that the first thing that PI is going to tell Phyllis is that the PI saw Billy coming in and out of a hotel room. Billy was out all night at that high-stakes poker game, which we didn't get to see, by the way. I don't know if Y&R is thinking, we don't want to bore the audience, show them too many of these games, but I wouldn't have minded seeing Billy lose again. Instead, we open up to the next morning. Billy has come in late. He was gone all night. He crashed on the couch. He is just waking up as Summer sees him there, walks up to him, tries to ask him what happened. I mean, did you win the game? Did you win? Did you lose? What happened? And he has to confess to Summer that not only did he not win the boat back, but he's lost even more money. He's sinking deeper. And now, by the way, he's got Ashley as the COO. The job of the COO is to oversee operations, which includes finances. She's combing through financial files at Jabot, wondering where their expensive new company yacht is and why it was damaged already. I mean, Billy was able to cover his tracks with Phyllis, who's not asking questions about financials. He's able to say, yeah, the boat's not here because it was getting repaired. But Ashley is black and white. She deals in numbers and figures and facts. Billy had to end up making a fake bill of sale for this damage, this mystery damage. He had to sell off some of his own mutual funds to cover his tracks. All the while, he's looking for another game. He's looking for another fix, a way that he can just one more game and one more round and then win it all back and stop. I've got news for you, Billy. You've lost. You've already lost. The trust is broken. You're lying to Phyllis. And Phyllis is thinking that Billy's cheating on her. It's only going to get worse. It will never get better. And I also am predicting that there in the future is going to be some moment where Phyllis is going to confide all of this, all of these fears, the fears that Billy is cheating on her, in Summer. She's going to talk to Summer about this. Phyllis is going to want to, based on this new relationship and closeness and bond that she has with her daughter, she's going to tell Summer, I think something's up with Billy. I think he's cheating on me. And Summer is going to have to stand there and pretend that she doesn't know exactly what's going on. Do you think that Summer needs to tell Phyllis? That's our poll question for the week. Should Summer just tell Phyllis what's going on with Billy? Or do you think that she just needs to back off, stay out of it? YRChat.com. What should Summer do here? Summer's the only one who sees Billy sinking. What's the right thing to do? Okay, we know she made a mistake. Summer did a bad thing by initiating this whole thing. What does she do now? I don't know, because I almost think I wouldn't tell Phyllis. I know that the obvious answer would be yes, tell Phyllis, she deserves to know, but I almost think I would try at least first to get Billy some other help. I mean, and this isn't assuming that Summer's intentions are pure. I think that what Summer does probably is dependent on her motives. Like, what is she hoping to gain here? Is she hoping to hurt Phyllis at the end of the day, at the end of all this? And if so, how much? Is she going for a total destruction? Has this gotten out of Summer's control? Was she thinking initially, yeah, I kind of want to mess with my mom, teach her a little bit of a lesson, and now it's like this? I don't know. I think maybe, I don't think that Summer should tell Phyllis. I think Summer needs to talk to Billy, and maybe if she is going to tell someone like Jack should be the one to know. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. I want to see the votes for this week. And I also would love to get your comments on what you think about Summer's motives. I know a lot of people see her as a bad girl, and she is a bad girl. I think she is manipulative, but how manipulative here? Is she just kind of a brat wanting to get what she wants and flippantly not caring who she hurts, or is she really, really trying to hurt someone? Because Summer made a comment to Billy this week about how she didn't expect that he would spin out of control this fast. Do you think that's true? Do you think everything that's going on with Billy right now is coming as a shock to Summer, or is this the result that she was hoping for? I can appreciate that Kyle is trying to nudge Mariah and Tessa together. The only thing that I wish is that Y&R hadn't taken so long to make a decision about this couple. It's been months at this point of these two girls orbiting each other with absolutely no action. It had gotten to the point for me that made me indifferent about the relationship. I was pro Mariah and Tessa when it was going down and before Tessa sold the diary, but then that happened, a bunch of time passed, we had both of them being vague even about their feelings for one another, and I kind of stopped caring. It was seeming a little bit like Kyle and Mariah had more in common than Tessa and Mariah. But hey, if Kyle and Devon wanted to work together to arrange this movie date for Mariah and Tessa, forcing them to finally spend some time together, figure out what's going on, then I say it's about time. Why didn't someone do this before now? It's easy. Somebody should have just grabbed them both, brought them into a room, and said like, yo, Tessa, you into Mariah? Yeah? Mariah, yo, you into Tessa? Yeah. Well then let's do this thing. Instead it just feels like it's been dragged out. And poor Mariah, by the way, she's over here like taking snowflake lessons from Summer, of all people, trying to figure out how to be more appealing. Like, you know, Mariah must have been in a desperate spot if she was willing to listen to Summer's advice for attracting a mate. And the very best that Summer could even do was to tell Mariah to have more confidence and, I don't know, be hotter? What kind of advice is that? I was all for the makeover idea, though. I loved that Summer agreed to give Mariah a makeover to, you know, help her date, help her be a little bit more appealing, because something has always seemed very off about Mariah's wardrobe to me. I feel that Mariah has this really cool, unique personality, and that should be reflected in her wardrobe, and it never ever is. Case in point, on Friday, Tessa was wearing this cool, bright, cherry red vest with all of these silver danglies hanging off of it, while Mariah was wearing this conservative cream eyelet lace little dress that it didn't seem fair. Like, seeing them standing there next to each other, it didn't seem fair. Like, why does Tessa get the cool cherry bomb red vest with the silver danglies and Mariah is wearing the dull cream boring dress? It didn't make sense to me, and the boring cream dull eyelet lace dress doesn't match Mariah's personality at all. I have to say though, like even though the vest danglies, the silver vest danglies looked really cool, I bet they were a real pain in the butt. Like, I started out the week thinking, dang, I really want that vest. But then I ended the week thinking about, like, wearing that to work would just be impossible. I would have gotten those danglies all tangled up in absolutely everything. Somebody probably would have had to rescue me after I leaned over my desk and ended up getting one of the danglies caught in the electric pencil sharpener or something. Well, in the previews of next week's show, we see the end of Mariah and Tessa's date, and they're holding hands at Crimson Lights, and Mariah is talking about how it must look to the outside world like there's a neon sign hanging over their heads saying there's more going on between these two. Well, we all know as the audience that there's more that's been going on from Mariah's end for a while now, but what I really need is to know what's going on with Tessa in her mind. Is there more going on in Tessa's mind? Because Tessa's been the X factor for me. It did look like from the scene that Tessa actually was reciprocating, but I am going to need to get some kind of verbal acknowledgement from Tessa, not more of this vague stuff. I don't know, maybe we'll even get another kiss. Yay! I'm going to be looking forward to all of the website hate mail that I'll be getting about this next week. Oh, that's going to be fun. I'm going to have so much moderating to do that you'll never see it, but I will. I'll wake up in the morning all fresh, ready to start my happy day, and I'll just see bombs and bombs of hate mail on this topic. People are going to be going online next week in droves, finding Y&R Chat for the very first time due to their search engine searchings, and they're all gonna just can't wait. They're gonna be falling over themselves to tell me how they're gonna stop watching Y&R over this. Oh man, can I just preemptively, I just want to reiterate what I already said on this topic, which is that if the scenes of Mariah and Tessa being affectionate with one another, because I do think that's probably what we're going to get next week, if all of that makes you uncomfortable, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to like it. There's nothing wrong with skipping it. Just, like, don't get mad about it, though. Don't feel like you have to stop watching the show just because you don't like this one story, because there are lots of stories maybe that you haven't liked in the past, but just don't watch them. I just don't want to see anybody get upset over it. Just walk away from your screen or fast forward it. Don't let it ruin the enjoyment of the rest of the show, is basically what I'm saying. Focus on what you love about the show. In fact, maybe all of us should do a little bit of that this week. Be sure to leave a comment this week and tell me what you are loving best about the show right now, because the negative comments that are going to come my way are not you. It's people who've never experienced anything having to do with Y&R Chat, and they will only want to leave this one type of comment, and then they will never come back, and it just hangs on me like this dust of negativity. So maybe if you guys leave me some positive comments this week and let me know what you're loving about Y&R, that'll help me keep my spirits up. You know what else gets my spirits up? Hot pyrotechnics. Hot pyrotechnics was our phrase, our quote from last week. It was a hard one. A lot of people guessed that Abby was the character who said it, but it actually was Phyllis. Phyllis said this line to Billy regarding his birthday 4th of July celebration. It was a hot pyrotechnics moment. 4 of you guys guessed that right, so congratulations, Henry, as always, and Breen, Diana, and Sharita. Well done, you guys. Let's do a new quote for the week. I like this one. How about this? I'm more than just a pretty face. Who is more than just a pretty face? Oh, it's so hard. That's a hard one too. But I don't know. I liked it. It was good. Maybe you did catch it. I'm trying, seriously, legitimately trying not to make them too hard. But, you know, challenging is good though too. I'm more than just a pretty face. Who said it? YRChat.com is our website. You can go there to leave your guess. And of course, if you get it right, then you'll get your shout out on next week's Y&R Chat. Comments, comments, comments. Let's read some comments. Daisy says, Nick did vow to take Victor down, so I wouldn't be surprised if he is involved in the recent efforts to hurt Victor and his company. I mean, how would JT have random access to the Newman Ranch unless a Newman let him in? This is exactly what I've been saying for weeks now, Daisy. I just can't let it go out of my mind that Nick vowed particular revenge on Victor, and now all of this is going on. And you make a good point about ranch security. Sharon did make a point of saying, I've lived here a really long time and I've never just had random guys walking around outside my window. Ranch security should be tight enough to keep JT Hellstrom off the property. Unless, as you say, maybe Nick's working with him. Who knows? Gary had a twist on my JT twin theory that I think this is great, and actually I think I would prefer this even beyond my initial imagination. Gary says, what if the evil JT, who was abusing Victoria and trying to kill Victor, was the twin? Yeah, right? If there is a twin twist, why not let the guy who's dead and buried in the ground be the evil twin and bring JT, the good guy, back? I love that idea. Maybe JT's coming back to set the record straight and reclaim his life after his evil twin ruined it. They did that with Cain and Caleb, didn't they? Wasn't that Cain's evil twin brother's name? I love a twin twist. I probably just need to put this theory to bed. I probably really do, but I just can't help myself. T. Nicole says, so again, the police not being called in regards to this JT situation, I don't get it. T. Nicole, you and me both. This really would have been the perfect time to call the police and the perfect way to work Doug Davidson into a story. I did hear that Doug Davidson was complaining a little bit. I think specifically about the way the show was being written, but I mean, come on. This is a story that he should be in, and unless he's not wanting to be involved in stories right now or he's off doing something else, I don't understand why Paul wouldn't at least be kind of hanging around in the peripheral. Seems like Y&R's having a hard time keeping their cast happy, doesn't it? I mean, Paul's missing. Hilary and Ashley are leaving the show. Well, Aaron says, I am so here for Ashley and Neil. We've been asking for them to be together for years now. Finally, I'm here for it, but I also can't get into it since we know Ashley's leaving the show soon. That's exactly how I feel, Aaron. Why now? Why now? Because I really do feel like Ashley and Neil had some chemistry. In fact, that would have been this week's poll question, but I feel like everybody's gonna kind of come to that same consensus. Like, yeah, maybe it could have been hot. Who knows? We all know it's not gonna last, so what's the point? Sharita says, why was there no follow-up on Hilary's cramping? Yeah, I think that was entirely a plot device just to get her over to Dr. Nate's house. I don't think that she is having an abnormal pregnancy. It sounded like, even from everything Dr. Nate said, that she's just having a normal, everything's normal, everything's okay. Sharita also says, though, there was barely a lead up to Neil and Ashley, although I know they dated before she dumped him for Tucker. Was that it? Were Neil and Ashley dating right before Tucker? Gosh, I should have looked that up. Well, on that note, last week I was talking about Nate giving an update on Olivia and the fact that she's working for Doctors Without Borders, and I think I was giving that whole rant while in my mind thinking about Olivia, but what was coming out of my mouth was the name Drusilla. I don't know, I think my brain was split up, so I have to issue a correction there. Nate talking about Doctors with Borders. It was Olivia who's off working on that project. Drusilla is presumed dead, so I apologize for the confusion. Yes, I believe Drusilla fell off a cliff in the Amazon and has been presumed dead for quite some time now. But to make up for my misinformation from last week, I thought I would give you guys a follow-up about Nathan Hastings Sr. So this is Nate's dad. I mean, he gave this update on Olivia, but, you know, he didn't really say anything about his dad. So I wrote this up, and I thought you guys might enjoy it. So here is my little summary about the end, anyway, of Nathan Hastings Sr. While married to Olivia, Nate's dad, Nathan, had an affair with a woman named Keisha. Do you remember this from the 90s? Who later tested positive for HIV and ultimately contracted the AIDS virus and died. So this woman had HIV and AIDS and had previously had this affair with Nathan. So Nathan ends up thinking he could have exposed his family to this. Olivia, Nate, Nathan, they all turned out to be HIV negative. But Olivia, of course, kicks her cheating husband out of the house and prevents him from having any kind of contact with little Nate. So Nathan Sr. gets all desperate, kidnaps Nate, and while the police are frantically looking for him, Nathan Sr. decides to do the right thing, return little Nate to Olivia, but in the process of the exchange, he gets hit by a car and he dies in the hospital after an emotional visit with Olivia and Nate. So little Nate's dad is dead. So does that kind of also put some more things into perspective about his character? So Y&R hasn't really addressed yet the fact that he lost this girlfriend, his fiance, but he also lost his father at a really young age. I hope Y&R ties that back into the story, because I think it is lending a little bit of backstory to this new-ish character that I think we are going to ultimately end up enjoying quite a lot. Ellen says, I think Dr. Nate forgot to pack some shirts when he left Boston. Is that it? Did he just forget to pack shirts? He grabbed a duffel bag real quick. He grabbed a lot of pants, but shirts, no. It is getting a little bit ridiculous now. The actor had to be like, okay, my first 3 scenes on this show are shirtless? Like, alright, but seriously? Oh, Astra says, I wonder who Nate will hook up with in his age range. There's Mariah, Summer, Tessa, maybe even Abby. Who knows? He might get with someone older. Yeah, it kind of looks like Y&R's taking us to Mariah and Tessa as a couple, so I'm going to guess they're out of the running for Nate's affection. But Summer, yeah. Summer definitely. Abby definitely. And I just think Hilary. I could be way off. This is entirely speculation, but I feel like they are building up that tension for an affair. I just can't help myself. I'm suspicious in that way. Laura leaves a comment saying that she's crossing her fingers that new Nate is in Genoa City for good and not just to help Hilary exit the show. Laura says maybe he can get a job at floundering Newman Enterprises as the staff is jumping ship. As a surgeon, he's qualified for any executive position. I don't know if that was a joke, Laura, but it is funny to me. It's like, sure, he's a doctor. He could definitely just bounce right into an executive position. That makes sense. They're practically the same thing. Laura also says, it's refreshing when characters tell it like it is. Nate is this way to Victor and to Hilary. He counters Hilary's rudeness by calling her on her character flaws to her face. He's like Mariah, who also says the obvious things on behalf of the viewing audience. I also enjoy when they dig up characters out of the past. Not literally, though, like Philip Chancellor II. You're funny, Laura. I think that's a very important assessment, that characters like Nate and like Mariah are almost audience surrogates. They're there to say the things that we're thinking out loud, and that's a very smart writing technique for the show to use. And I think that is also drawing me to the character of Nate even more, the fact that he's kind of saying all these things that we all are thinking. Here's a great comment from Tiffany saying, I love Kyle and Devon teaming up to get Mariah and Tessa together. I know a lot of people like Kyle and Mariah as a couple, but honestly, I'm loving their friendship as is. And truth be told, I only started watching Y&R for the Mariah and Tessa storyline. So my heart will forever be hashtag Tessaraya. I am so absolutely overjoyed to hear that from you, Tiffany, that you started watching Y&R because of the Mariah-Tessa relationship. Here I am as an old fan running this Y&R website, and so I get all kinds of comments from all the other old Y&R fans who just don't want to see a lesbian relationship on their screen. So I'm constantly getting barraged with messages of people in regard to this saying that they're going to stop watching the show if two women were to become involved in a relationship together. And now I have you, like a breath of fresh air, like a little Nate breath of fresh air coming into my Y&R chat world telling me that you're starting watching Y&R because of this. I'm happy to hear that Y&R is not losing viewers because of this. They are gaining viewers because of this. Brava. Kara says, why is Kyle so adamant about hooking up Tessa and Mariah? A couple of days ago, he was digging up a dead body, and now he's playing matchmaker to two people who don't really need his help. I think the passion is a brewing between Tessa and Mariah without Kyle's help. Yeah, it's a redeeming thing. I think it's that Y&R knew they had him do something devious, so they have to have him do something charming in order to keep that balance. Ellen says the show certainly has completely changed the Kyle character since he first arrived back in Genoa City. Now he's Mr. Nice Guy who will do anything for his father, forgive Summer for dumping him, patiently looking after Dina, and playing matchmaker for his new friends Mariah and Tessa. I wonder if this sweetie pie is the real Kyle, or is it the nasty, selfish, power-hungry, angry Kyle that's the true Kyle? Wow! I know. I think that's the beauty of the character, that we're kind of left wondering a little bit. And either way it shakes out, I feel okay with it. Superplex says to Ellen, don't be so sadly deluded by the new and improved Kyle. His motivations are not inspired by the specter of assisting his father search for his roots, but rather by the image of him making a claim of being a member of one of the other illustrious dynasties of Genoa City, that now that he's no longer a member of the Abbott clan. Yes, I think that that's an interesting point also, that Kyle going forth with this plan with Jack is not necessarily, even though it may possibly be viewed by Jack as being helpful to him, it is entirely possible that Kyle's motivation, that he's not really fully revealing to Jack, is the fact that he wants to be a power player at one of these other companies, that he sees a little bit of an opportunity in there. I think that is probably the case. Ellen responds saying, not all of Kyle's new behaviors lead to a financial payoff, and I can't really blame him for wanting to know if he's a chancellor grandson. I don't think digging up bones is cool, but I understand an ambitious young man who didn't get much fathering wanting answers. Jack's poor me, who am I routine is less sympathetic to me. Well, all in all, I think this speaks to a very well-balanced character. I think that the truth is going to be, in this argument, somewhere in the middle, as in with most things. I think that Kyle's not all one thing. That's a sign of a good character. He's not all villain, and he's not all sweetie pie. There's a little bit of gray area in there. Reminds me of a few other characters that I've liked in the past. I like it when they exist in that gray area and are able to balance it, ride that tightrope successfully. It's not easy to do. A lot of times characters are one or the other. You're either good or you're bad. But once you get that little crossover of gray area, it's a thing of beauty. Daisy says, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle set the stage to make it look like Jack is not John's son, to pay him back for not being there when he needed them. This is entirely possible, Daisy. That lab tech just so happens to deliver those DNA test results while Jill's at the house. I mean, there was a conversation happening specifically between Jill and Jack where Jill was mentioning that her car was outside. Kyle wasn't in the house at the time, but he darn sure would have seen Jill's car in the driveway, and he darn sure could have made that whole courier incident could have been orchestrated by Kyle. That doesn't even, it doesn't mean, there's an entirely a huge possibility that he could have hired, maybe it's a stretch, but I would love to think it, that, let's go with this. Kyle hired the little courier to come in there and pretend to be nervously talking and spilling the beans about this DNA test result. The DNA test results could be fake. All of this is at this point hinging on Kyle and Kyle's word, and Kyle has already proven himself to be untrustworthy, at least in a few different aspects. He's flawed. I hope that takes us the path back to Jack being an abbot. Oh, wouldn't that be great if at the end of this we did find out that Kyle had orchestrated it all? I like that idea. Here's another idea. Superplex says, here's a plot point for a new storyline. If Esther proves to be problematic for Kyle, perhaps Kyle should ponder the idea of seducing Esther. That would be funny. It kind of would be funny. I think I might enjoy that a little bit. And Gary had left a follow-up comment there saying, let's just say that Esther has always been extremely susceptible to flattery. Bingo! I mean, she got, there was a storyline, maybe even more than one storyline, where some guy got into Esther's good graces, ended up marrying her, and found his little way into the Chancellor house. Yep. Oh, that would be kind of good. Gary also says, you know, I liked it better when Dina was the star of this show, not just a pawn for Jack's story. She's doing way too much resting off screen. I know. At least we're getting to see Dina. That's the good thing. I like that the actress is still incorporated into the show, but I share that feeling. Dina should be the strong matriarch that we were asking for, and instead we got Alzheimer's. So I suppose we really have no choice. There is no getting better. We just have to enjoy our good days, and I'm sure Y&R is going to continue to show us good days with Dina, but then they're going to follow it up with a relapse. That's just going to be the cycle. Sharita says, what happened to the Phyllis who would confront her man on his lies? Good point. Can't deny it. Phyllis is definitely trying to be a little bit reformed. I think she would normally be a little bit more devious in finding out what Billy is up to, but instead she's pulling back a little bit. She's testing the waters. I think maybe Phyllis just is trying to learn from the mistakes of her past. Let's put a good spin on it and say maybe she is just trying really hard to hold on to Billy the right way, because we all know Phyllis has done a lot of things to hold on to men the wrong way. T. Nicole says, what if the private investigator finds Summer and Billy getting close? The secret between Billy and Summer could lead to a cheating scandal. It is not good for the Billy and Phyllis relationship. T. Nicole, I didn't even think of that. I assumed that the private eye would find Billy coming in and out of a hotel room and that Phyllis would assume that was cheating. It didn't even occur to me that the private eye might find Summer and Billy coming in and out of a hotel room together. We speculated way back when this whole Summer sexual harassment thing started that it didn't even have to be an actual affair that went on between them, that it could just be the appearance of an affair, and that might be where we're headed. Ooh. That would be good though. Once again, oh, it's bad, but in the best way. Kyle, and that's not our on-screen Kyle, this is real life Kyle, a Y&R chatter, says, are we really going to have to keep looking at that popcorn machine in the Jabot office week after week? It's so frustrating because all I want to see is Gloria sitting at that desk, and instead it's this silly reminder that Billy has made the corporate environment more fun, in quotes. Gloria is my definition of fun on Y&R. Amen to that, Kyle. I wholeheartedly agree with that comment about Gloria. I tell you what, I feel like there's something missing from that foyer at Chatterbox. Even though we have all these wonderful boxes of perfume and all of these little pieces of Y&R history in the foyer, I feel like it's empty ultimately without Gloria sitting at the reception desk. Well, chatters, I think that takes me to the end. But now it's your turn to chat back to me. I love reading your comments every week. You don't always have to be a little Susie Sunshine or anything. I want to get your full feedback. I just, sometimes it's hard because, you know, I'm like moderating all of this stuff that comes into the website, and a lot of it is negative. I'm like, you know, I didn't sit up here for 10 years doing Y&R Chat and build out that website and do everything that I do every single week to have random people from the internet who actually aren't part of this community and don't like contribute to the conversation to just come in and crap all over everything and just leave a bomb of negativity and then leave. Like, they don't want to participate. They don't want to talk about the show. They're just going to come to the site to complain. And none of that is you, specifically you who is listening or watching this. You're like the community. You can say what you want. I want everybody to feel like they can contribute and log complaints that are legitimate. It's a little, I have a little bit of a different experience going on behind the scenes, trying to keep things positive and friendly for you guys so that you're not seeing all the crap that gets slung my way. So how about leave me some love this week? But of course, leave me your comments. I do want to hear your actual opinions on things, because I mean, after watching the show for so long, you are justified in whatever you feel. After watching the show for one episode, you're justified in whatever you feel. It's just, I like to know that there's some, I don't know, intention behind what's being said. Like, oh, I thought about this and I care about it and I want to say it. That's all. That's all. I just don't want to hear people wanting to leave the show because of the Tessa Mariah thing. Well, yrchat.com is the website. Don't mind me. I'm telling people not to complain, and here I am complaining. I'm lifting it up. I'm lifting it up. yrchat.com. I do love hearing from you, and I love you. And I will see you next Sunday to chat again about our favorite show. Okay. Bye.